Absolutely awesome back-to-back news for XRP. I'm telling you, we're going places. Just, you can't stop the good news. They just keep coming. But before I go through them, I just wanted to have a quick look at what the market is doing generally. Bitcoin continues its comeback. It's now $93,414 per Bitcoin. Obviously moving back and forth a little bit there, a little bit of fluctuation. At the point of making this video, we are now in fear. We're completely out of extreme fear now. I think people are reacting to the comeback in a positive way, and we're making a way towards neutral. And if you're used to this situation and how emotional people are and how easy it is to change people's emotional state, you can obviously already tell that we're heading towards neutral anytime soon. And that could just be tomorrow when, we see a massive green candle that takes us maybe even to greed. And that's just how it works. Obviously, when we're in the extreme fear zone is when the whales and all the smart money, basically we're accumulating like crazy. So now with fear approaching neutral, it means the retail market, the dumb money, so to say, are beginning to get ready to start buying again, because they buy when it's pumping, right? It's just what retail does. They buy high and they sell low. Fantastic. Anyway, so XRP not actually moving as much over the last couple of days, staying flat compared to the others, even though on the longer time scale, it's still outperforming the rest of the tokens in the top 10 or so. Now, let's get to the news. The first one I want to talk about today is Firelight, which has launched an XRP staking protocol on Flare with insurance-backed reward model. So some of the technology borrows from the Ethereum-based Eigenlayer. I don't know if you remember that. Do you also remember StakeLayer, which is the Bitcoin-based one? That's gone a bit quiet now, obviously, because of the macro environment. I did a video about it some time ago. And Eigenlayer is a restaking protocol that allows you to stake a token, but then restake it again so it doesn't get sort of held back. Normally, traditionally, when you stake a token, that's it. You can't do anything with it after staking. So this staking protocol is on Flare Network, and they launched it on Tuesday, introducing a liquid token called XRP, designed to earn rewards through the DeFi insurance model and aims to protect protocols against hacks and failures. So obviously concentrating also on security there. So that could be interesting for XRP. The more the merrier when it comes to XRP and DeFi. Again, we've been quiet in that sort of aspect because everyone is focusing on things like, cross-border payments, tokenization of real-world assets, and bridging currencies because of what's going on in Japan, which is sucking all of the attention out of the market at the moment. But while all that stuff is going on, work is still going on in the background with the other sectors, right? With DeFi, with, on-demand liquidity stuff. And, the launch of these things are imminent. They expect this thing to roll out by 2026, early 2026. So just a few months down the line, and we have another avenue to do things with our XRP. So shout out to Firelight, shout out to Flare. More of this is going to happen, obviously. Now we have that XRP Ledger sidechain, and all the other companies are going to be doing sidechains and their own version of this Flare protocol, Flare token, so that XRP holders can participate in DeFi. Another bit of massive news, of course, is to do with the inflows into XRP ETFs. I talked about this a few days ago when some of them just launched, and how the inflows into XRP may have helped to stabilize the price of XRP while all the other tokens in the top 10, in fact across the board, were nosediving with Bitcoin in the recent liquidation event that we just had. XRP holders weren't liquidated in the same way as some of these other holders of these tokens, possibly because a significant amount of XRP that's being held right now isn't being held in any kind of leverage, but rather being held in cold storage in preparation for the glory days, or they're backing ETFs and all sorts of things. So they're sitting in vaults and stuff. So price plummeting doesn't take away any of that into the liquidation pool or whatever. So shout out to XRP. Epic inflows, $850 million inflows, surpassing even Ethereum and Solana. XRP exchange traded funds continued gaining momentum this week as new data showed the products climbing past the $800 million inflow mark faster than every other crypto ETF except Bitcoin. And of course, we know why. Bitcoin, because of BlackRock, Fidelity, these guys have massive pockets and they have humongous client bases, right? So they have clients that are in the multiple billions. So a lot more money in BlackRock's pocket. Now, imagine though that only BlackRock and Fidelity and all those guys are able to surpass XRP ETFs, even though XRP ETFs right now are being offered by much smaller organizations. When BlackRock decides to do an XRP ETF, or JP Morgan or Fidelity or one of those people, then expect to see maybe 10x the amount of inflows that we're seeing now. So we're not talking about 800 million, we're talking about 8 billion and up. So it's going to be absolutely insane when this does happen. Obviously, you guys remember that interview where Larry Fink did the whole sort of body language thing and said that he couldn't talk about whether or not they're going to do an XRP ETF or why they're not doing it or why they haven't started one yet or whatever. He just sort of like shut the whole thing down. Obviously, because, who knows, right? Say no more. Massive news again which relates to Japan, and this is a big one, guys, because it kind of relates to the Japan thing. Japan is all the rage now. Everyone's talking about Japan. Now, when I said that Japan is going all in on XRP in 2026, this is one of the aspects of it, right? So Japan has adopted XRP Ledger to power its tokenized economy, says this article. And in this article, it says, Japan is taking a bold step in digital transformation by testing zero-knowledge identity systems on the Ripple Labs XRP Ledger. This move could redefine how citizens prove identity, access financial services, and engage with tokenized assets. By integrating secure, privacy-focused technology into a public blockchain, Japan signals serious confidence in Ripple's network. Analysts believe that this could establish a national foundation for digital identity, compliance, and blockchain-powered finance. And here are some of the sources of where this article got the information from. Yuto and Diana have basically tweeted that out on X. So I'll leave all of those links for you to go check out later on. But basically, this is Japan, a country, utilizing that update that was done onto the XRP Ledger, the whole sort of compliance identity update that we saw a couple of months ago, already being used by Japan, right? And if Japan is using this, best believe the other countries are taking a look. The United States may implement it. Europe might implement it. African countries might implement it. And like I said before, the XRP Ledger is the only blockchain at the moment that has the system inbuilt. And imagine a country adopts the XRP Ledger for this. It's inbuilt in the ledger. Why would they then go to another ledger to do the other things that they need to do when the ledger they're already using has inbuilt all the stuff that they need? So whether or not they want to do tokenized assets, they want to do cross-border payments, heck, they want to do a CBDC, they're going to reach for a trusted, already compliant ledger like the XRP Ledger. I'm telling you, guys, it's not just tokenization. It's pretty much everything. There's a complete takeover by the XRP Ledger of all of these functions. Now, I learned a lot from the conference yesterday and the day before that indeed there's a lot of competition, guys. There's a lot. It's not just XRP and the XRP Ledger that's capable of wanting to do this stuff. There's a lot of companies that are looking into solutions for this very thing, identity, for, tokenization, etc. But the difference, guys, between Ripple and XRP and these other companies that I noticed is the phase that they're in and the people they're already working with. Now, look, Japan, an entire country, one of the largest economies in the world, and one of the most strict countries in the world when it comes to these sort of regulation things, right, is going all in on the XRP Ledger to do something that's this significant. And they're doing it as soon as possible. Now, these other companies, the competition, are still they're on the drawing board. They're in the planning phase. They're in the conceptualization phase. They're where XRP and the XRP Ledger and Ripple were a decade ago, maybe, when they were working with those R3 consortiums and, different banks were testing them and stuff. That stage is where most of their competition are right now. So Ripple and XRP are years ahead of anything else. And by the time those solutions are ready, I'm afraid it might be too late and the XRP Ledger might have taken over everything. So it just gives me a lot of joy to see actual things starting to happen. And when I see things like the price go under $2, it makes me happy, right? Because I have more information than maybe the average person, or I look at this stuff every day. So I don't feel the fear that other people feel when it comes to the XRP Ledger, the price of XRP, etc., etc. So none of this is financial advice, but I think it is a good day for XRP today. It is an amazing month for the XRP Ledger, and 2026 is going to be an outstanding year for Ripple, XRP, the XRP Ledger, the XRP Army, and everybody else involved. Not financial advice, do your own research, and I'll see you later. Peace.